like I should feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should feel like should feel like should feel like I should.
GETCRAK. Wake up, motherfucker.
All right. Oh, we're back. We're back. January 25th. Shit. Or 23rd, I mean. 23rd, my bad. Man, I forgot how to run this stuff, man. After you do a week, you don't even know what the heck you're doing. You're like, oh, how do you set this up again? Oh, shoot. Anyhow, all right. So, you guys were lucky. Whatever I told you to do last week before we got shut down, just kept on doing it because the market kept going up and up and up every freaking day. I was just like, okay, whatever. It's probably better I didn't say nothing at that point. Just believe it just keeps going up because we're all the way back to the highs, man. We're all the way back to the highs. Wow, amazing. Oh, man. That's probably one of the best calls I could make for a long while, you know. Usually you never get those optimistic coming throughs to happen like that. You usually expect like, oh, there's gonna be some chop, some sideways, some noise, but no, it just kept going up and up, straight up. So on Monday and then Tuesday. And I think again on Wednesday. Was that when we got shut down? I forgot. But I'll play the clips where I showed you what to get. I was like long Bitcoin, NASDAQ, use MST's Z or X or I forgot. It was X, right? MSTX. Beautiful. So that one was like, let me see here. How much was that? I mean, I sold along the way, right? Let's go up, up, up. Yeah, that was gorgeous. All the way up to 70% max. Beautiful trade. Now, question is, what do you do now? So you would have sold along the way up, or you know, maybe you were a boss and just kept it all the way up until the last moment up here because it made sense to sell then, right? Look at that. Look at that purple squiggly line I drew. Man, that was almost a direct hit. I was just goofing off too. All right, let me zoom in here. Like look at that. So I said get around to 400, 380, 400, something like that. And I'll play the old video, see what I said. And then bam, now it's pulling back. And I guess buy again and go up again or what? I don't know what's going to happen next week. All the easy stuff is done. All the easy stuff was done. So that was it. We're done here. Right now, the reason I started this stream right now was supposedly the Bank of Japan. Yeah, what's up, Antoine? Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. You know, so you made some money. So like this, Bank of Japan is going to be a big deal if they. So apparently they're supposed to give some decision 20 minutes ago, and then in 3 hours or so, he'll start talking. And the funny thing is, like, this is a live presentation. Usually the Bank of Japan doesn't do it live. So I'm kind of scared So if you didn't sell to like today on the fear that they might say something crazy and crash the whole market tomorrow, and then over the weekend, woo! If you have a bad Friday, man, that's gonna be a bad Monday, right? So yeah, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for something crazy to happen for sure, because if it's live, that means something. Something's up. They're gonna say something very pronounced. So this is the yen right here. Uh, I'm not an expert on where the yen should be going. Okay, like if it's gonna drop a lot, is that bad, or going up a lot, is that bad? I can't tell. I'm assuming like if it moves a lot, that's bad. Either direction, it's gonna be bad either way. That's volatility is bad. Okay, but for now, let's ignore that for now, because we got a few hours. So you'll find out when you wake up early in the morning, screaming that why is everything bloody red, or ooh, everything's green. So if okay, before we got shut down, the weekend stream, I talk about like options, right? I talk about options. So here, let me show you. Let me show you right now how I would think about it. So all these lines everywhere, right? So this purple line for the Nasdaq, very important because that was set in July. So we tagged it, and that's why I said on Monday, yeah, this is a good place to buy. Buy here. What's the odds of it just collapsing all the way back down here right away? No. If it's gonna go down, it's got to go up first, at least. I didn't really expect it just to go all the way back up, because if you see that, we're right back to where we were before Jerome Powell opened his fat mouth and crashed the whole stock market like 1 month ago. And again, this is why I tell people, do you believe the market is efficient? If you believe the market is efficient, what exactly changed between that time on Wednesday the 18th and now? Nothing. He hasn't talked again. So why was it bouncing down and up and down and up and down and up? Tell me. Oh, okay. Bank of Japan finally made a decision. All right. Yeah, we know that decision, but let's see. When are they going to talk though? That's probably 2 hours, right? They're going to talk. Let's see if anything changed. Let's see if anything changed with Bitcoin. Bitcoin should tell us. If Bitcoin goes crazy, it should tell us. So Bitcoin's been really goofy. Uh yeah, this is bad. So on Friday, I sold a lot of my MSTX, and I was like, I don't trust the weekend, because just before, we had Martin Luther King Day, right? But the futures were open. So right when the futures open, like on Sunday night, it's like crash, and then before the market opened, pop. And then it's like overnight, and then before the market really like finally opened, like this was like pre-market, it just popped before pre-market, then slid before right during pre-market, and then once the market opened, it just went all the way back. So it's just doing this. All right, okay, fine, I get that. But now everybody's going to be wondering, okay, just like with the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, we're at the top here. We're at the top, and this rectangle I drew, because this was the top set in December 16th. So it hit right there. It was beautiful move. This is a beautiful move. And then once it hit there, just slammed, right? It slammed its head right there, bounced back, slammed it again, bounced back. Every time there was like a news from Trump, or like the press, they always do that. They always love like tossing news all the time. That's like, oh, new news, pop. But it's like everybody knows that. All right. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows there was going to be an executive order. The question now is it enough to get new buyers before February? And what I'm saying February is because I think mid-February, I expect the stock market to go back down. Okay. But because like it's been so good, one whole week we've moved. No, this is not normal. I'll re-emphasize this again. You don't want to see this. Like the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq, it's going up and down 5%, down 5%, up 5%, 4 to 5%. This time we went, come on, 6%. Look. Most people, they're happy if they get 10% over a year. Like, are you telling me like going up and down 4, 5, 6% is normal? No, it's not normal. And the reason why is that there's a lot of options, right? There was probably a ton of options up here, down here, up here, down here. And the reason why this thing pushed up so much is I bet you, a lot of idiots started buying tons of puts on that Monday. So Friday they started going like, ooh, it looks bad. And then on Monday when it opened like really low, below, it's just like, shh, I gotta protect my portfolio. I gotta buy puts. I gotta buy puts. And they bought all that insurance, and all that did was create a huge vacuum that just sucked everything back up, because once the like once they ran out of sellers here, there was nobody left to sell. It's just like, come on, we're right back to where we were around when Trump got elected. So what's the difference between November 6th and January 13th? Nothing changed. Trump got elected. He didn't get assassinated. What news would there be to make it go further down? Nothing. The only thing that's pushing it down right now is Powell, right? And Powell already said his piece in December. So there was nothing new. The only thing that was pushing this up and down was like, oh, there was some economic data got released and people were just reading into it, right? One little month's worth of economic data, you can't tell anything about the future, all right? So come on. The only reason the market is pushing up and down so violently between these probabilities is because there's way too many options between these levels. So we know now that there's probably tons of options when the Nasdaq is around 500, when the QQQ is 500, and there's probably tons more up here when it's around 536. Now, if we look at the S&P, you know, it's way overextended now. It got a new high today. Look at that. And this one was way worse. It dipped a lot further down. So this was below what the Trump election was, right into near the territory where it was before the elections on this Halloween drop. And so I'm like, come on, this is no brainer to buy last week. But now it's like, well, it's not really clear what it's going to do here. Okay, because it could easily jump the river. All right, this thing could just say like goodbye, pop. And if there's anything that could force it up, it's done. If there's enough puts still available in the system, this thing could fly nonsensically all the way up here, like for no reason. It can do that if we have enough good news. So next week you will have some of the big tech earnings. You'll have Microsoft, and you'll have Google, I think, and then you'll have Intel. Intel's a big one for the semiconductors. And who else? Probably Tesla too. Amazon might be, and Apple. I think a lot of them will come out next week. So there's going to be a big chunk of them next week. Not Nvidia. Nvidia is always at the end. So if you're hoping for Nvidia to push it up with AI, it's over. All the AI hype, it's hard now to get more news, good news. I mean, you could say, oh, we got more $1 billion worth of investments on. No. There's no more of that news. Okay, we're done with that. So the only thing we can ride on is earnings. And the second thing next Wednesday is Jerome Powell will talk again. He'll talk right in the middle of it on Wednesday. So we got to worry about those things. So the easy trade, the easy money is done. The hard money comes later. It's like I have to decide now, do I short here for the ride back down, or do I just say whatever, just keep going up? I can't say now. So when you see what I'm doing, I just go for the easy stuff. I don't go for the hard stuff. So before a big event happens, so we had a whole week before earnings, right? Jerome Powell, Bank of Japan. You got plenty of time to go up. So that's why I decided, hey, this is a good place to buy, because hey, you look at there. Yep. Why not? Why don't I just buy here? I mean, yeah, maybe I screw up and it goes down, but the risk reward is good, right? The 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 range of going up is a lot higher than the range going down now. Like how much further can it go down? Like here. I mean, I'll be out then. I'll just leave. I'll just say, "Ooh, bad trade. Bye-bye. I lost some money. Who cares?" But so that's all you can do. You just look at the chart and go like, "Well, I'm willing to buy here. It's better than buying up here, right? Buying up here, right? So why not buy down here, down here, down here? That's it. So that's it. I can't predict the future. I just got lucky. That's gambling. There you go. Now you understand. So anyhow, we're good with that. And I'm gonna start reading some articles after I play some of these videos for you. And then we'll go back to like how the trades went for MSTR. SMCI was kind of disappointing for me. I mean, it didn't do much. Like this one, it bounced, but all it could do is go back up here to this resistance. So yeah, not everything works out, you know. Not everything works out. It looks like Antoine played sound. Well, risky. Man, yeah, Antoine, yeah, you played a risky game, but not bad. Not bad. Yeah. And there's probably other ones similar to this. But in any case, yeah, you could have bought anything and it would have been okay. It probably eventually went up. You know, this one took its sweet time though. SMCI kind of like SMCI too, but like, I like all the time it does this. You know, like if you look at the way it moves, like every time it opens high, it just sells off. Opens high, sells off. Open high, sells off. Open high, sells off. It's just like it has this bad intraday look to it, and that usually signifies a lot of weakness underneath. That means it's gonna this thing, if it ever goes back up to 40 something, it's gonna take a while. It's gonna need a lot of news. So that means earnings. I'm guessing nobody's gonna risk saying anything until it gets to earnings. And this earnings, Tuesday the 4th of February, it's after all the other big fat earnings. Right? We got Apple, we got let me check if Apple it does go next week. Yeah, it does. Yep. Apple's bad. Apple's been doing terrible. I guess ever since like they had all these rumors that wasn't selling enough iPhones, it was just like everybody started piling on. Everybody was like, "Oh, downgrade." Apple's been the worst of the big tech stocks for the past month. It's horrible. They just kept piling on bad news every time. It's just so easy. I guess when they find a stock they can just bully, they'll just bully it to death and make it cheap again. So I have no clue. I have no clue if this is going to be good. But I will talk about other nice stocks that do look good. You got Deere. Yeah, see, Tractor's doing well since the 13th. Not bad. Okay. It actually, if you look at this one here, I'll put the chart on this one. You can see it bounced right here on this 397 level. Perfect. That's what you want to see. So this range on Deere is very huge. It's since like January 2021. This range here, and now it's like doing this. Ooh man, I'm liking this. This is not bad. The other one, like CEG Constellation Energy. So this one doing its nice thing here since New Year's. Very good. So it had its merger, I think. It was merging with a natural gas utility. So now it has tons of natural gas plus nuclear. So yeah, very good energy stock to get long term. But I was hoping for a pullback to add, but it didn't do it. It just kept going up. So I'm like, fuck. Well, I wanted to buy more, but oh, crap. Yeah, because this would have been great for a long term position to build up here at this area all the way up, because this thing will keep going into next year, I think. But this isn't a good time to buy. If you guys aren't in this stock already, it's not good. There's other ones too. VRT, VST, so nuclear, liquid cooling for AI. There's tons of them. So you see them scrolling at the bottom. You see all that stuff. So I have infrastructure stocks. So start looking at those. We'll have natural gas too later on, maybe next week or 2 more weeks. I'm waiting for natural gas to die because right now it's been goofing around too much. It hasn't died yet. So it's pretty strong. so far. But eventually the weather like forecast will warm up, and no, I don't think February will have strong cold fronts or Arctic blasts. So this thing will just drop off, and that'll be the time to buy natural gas stocks. And oil too is overpriced, way overpriced. I'll talk about that later too. You see that? It just starts shooting up like nuts in January, and no. When you have this thing be more expensive than the futures contract later in the months in the year, no. So I'll read an article and explain why that's a problem. So yeah, this is not the good time to jump in if you're not in already. There's better time to do it. So wait. So yeah, I think this will go sideways if it's very bullish. That's what I thought. So I've been trading this a little bit. It's because I talk about cold, right? Every time it popped up here, short, pop, short, and then now it's like stuck in this box. So I don't know if it's just gonna roll over and collapse. I might short it again, like on Monday. Let's just go like, yeah, maybe it'll finally die and roll over here, something like that, and then we'll go sideways. Same thing with Bitcoin. Yeah, I think it'll just be stuck. It's stuck here. It's pretty much stuck here. I don't think it can really get over here right now until April. So April is my target. April is when it'll make it go back up. After a while, it'll just be like, just get stuck in this range, and it'll bore people to death for a couple months or something. Worst case is if Bank of Japan or Jerome Powell does something where it just like flushes all the way down. Like that's pretty much it. The reason it would just like collapse below like around 85, 86 is because there's a liquidity crunch. Same thing that happened in August. So if you look back here, July to August, this is what happened, right? It's just, yeah, this was all because of Bank of Japan. That was it, just the yen. So a lot of people would be like, hey, why the hell do I have to care about the yen? Well, bruh, the whole world runs on currency. And yeah, you guys don't know about the dollar, yen, euro dollar, this, that, these markets. If you don't know those things, yeah, you're going to get blindsided because you think stocks only move up and down because of the stock itself, the actual news pertaining to the stock. Nope. It actually just pertains to how much money is available in someone's bank account to buy stocks. If their bank account starts getting drained because they have too much yen, because it's not run by little guys, it's run by big guys. These big guys have bonds denominated in yen that they convert into dollars to get profit. And then when they see their Bank of Japan yen denominated bonds go crazy, they got to dump those yens, and then they go like, oh shoot, oh man, now, and then they got to sell their Nvidia stock to make up the difference because they had a margin account in Japan or something. Yeah, see, all that stuff, it just ripples around the earth. Everything's interconnected. So you remember 2008, right? Well, that's kind of the same thing. All the financial plumbing is tied together. So if somebody sneezes somewhere in Japan, yeah, it could cause a crash. And you saw that huge crash for no reason, just because of the yen. And that was a great time to buy. But if you didn't know the yen was coming, then yeah, that would have been a surprise to you, I guess. That's why, yeah, you got to worry about the yen. Yeah, so they're supposed to talk or something in a couple hours. Let's see how Bitcoin's doing. I don't think it's doing anything. Yeah, it's not doing nothing. So we're stuck here. So Bitcoin will be an easy tell. And then NASDAQ futures, another tell. And then we'll go from there. All right. That's what we're working for. So that was easy. That was easy. This trade was the easy trade. Next week's going to be a lot harder. Alrighty, let's play some videos. Here we go.
President Trump yesterday announcing a massive AI infrastructure plan. Some of the world's most prominent technology leaders pledging to invest an initial $100 billion, but it could be up to $500 billion over the next 4 years. And as you heard, the project is called Stargate. Kate Rooney's here to help break down what it means for OpenAI, one of the important partners of it. Steve Kovac also looking at Microsoft. And Steve, I want to start with you. We spent a good amount of our 9 o'clock hour at the top of the hour discussing the implications for Microsoft of what appears to be sort of a deepening connection between Oracle and OpenAI and the expiration, so to speak, over time of the exclusivity of financing by Microsoft. So what do we know, or what do we surmise here?
Yeah, David, this is what we're seeing. It's Microsoft sort of losing its grip that it once had over OpenAI. Until yesterday, it was the exclusive cloud provider for OpenAI, the hottest startup on the planet. And now, instead of being the exclusive provider, it has what they're calling the right of first refusal. So OpenAI says, they'll come to Microsoft saying, we need this cloud capacity for X, Y, and Z, what we want to do. And Microsoft can now say, we don't have the capacity to serve you. You guys need to go somewhere else. It's very clear they're going to Oracle right now.
Oh, okay. Let me address some questions. Yeah, here for the tea. No. I don't try to day trade. At least I don't try to do it on purpose. If I have to get out of a trade because I made a mistake or because like, oh yeah, I see it's gaining a lot, then I'll jump out. But I'm not trying to do that. I try to swing. So if I'm swinging, I try to do at least a week or so. But so far, I think this year it's going to be very difficult to find trades that will last a week. It's going to be a lot more volatile. If you guys remember 2018, it was kind of like that time where things bounced up and down. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. I think this year. That's why we got to get more serious, I suppose. I'll have to think about it. Where I set out more rules, and I guess Gary is very interested in some of the tropes. Has been reading the book from Joe Rabel. So yeah, maybe I'll get more into that for people that care about more of the theory stuff. Yeah. And maybe it gets into some math too. Try to do some math. But yeah, I think it might be helpful. Some of you guys are pretty smart, so maybe some of that will inspire you to do something. All right, back to the video.
Now, but this also potentially opens up the window for those other hyperscaler companies we talk about so often, Google and Amazon, even smaller players like HPE and Dell. They can all get in on the game as well. And that's also what the Stargate thing is about, is OpenAI using its own money and its own cash to invest in cloud capacity. And you might remember, David, we've heard CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, say several times throughout the last year that they literally don't have the cloud capacity to keep up with the enormous demand they're seeing for artificial intelligence. That's not just OpenAI. That's other open source models. That includes Meta's models and so many other models that are also running on Azure cloud servers. That's why Microsoft said they're going to spend $80 billion in its fiscal year ending this summer just to build out AI infrastructure, half of which is going to be happening here. And so all that money is effectively, yes, going to go towards NVIDIA. This is great news for NVIDIA and all these other companies. But what we're seeing now is Microsoft losing that exclusivity on the cloud. It makes a lot of money from having this cloud deal with OpenAI. The more OpenAI activity that happens on Azure cloud servers, the more money both companies end up making. So this is potentially them just because they don't have the capacity to do it, they're kind of ceding some of that potential revenue growth to other cloud providers.
Yeah. Kate, from the OpenAI side, I mean, do we have a sense? There have been, and I'm sure you've heard it, talk in the marketplace about a deterioration in the relationship in some way, but do you have any sense as to what the conversation was? Was it OpenAI saying, hey, we need more, you can't give it to us? Or I don't know, you tell me.
That's what I'm hearing from sources, David, is a little bit of the lead up to this. And it's that capacity that Steve talked about, the demand, and you're seeing that spill over to Oracle. One interesting thing I'm hearing from sources out here is the relationship between CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, and Larry Ellison. So that has gotten closer since they first struck this partnership back in June. The two of them seem to be really aligned on some of the big spending that's required with AI infrastructure. I'm told that personal relationship has gotten much closer, which is really interesting. The other thing I'm hearing, SoftBank is a big part of this, and Masayoshi, that's another personal relationship. CEO Sam Altman and Masayoshi Son, who, David, you know well, he's not an incremental thinker, neither.
All right, so this is pretty important here. I'll play some videos with Larry Ellison after this, but Masayoshi Son, yeah, he's a big guy in Japan. He's probably one of the richest Japanese out there, and He did a lot of work with ARM, supporting ARM, and probably some other smaller ventures. And so this is crazy that they're all working together with Larry Ellison. All right. This is going to be nuts.
Here's Sam Altman. They've both really been banging the table for this level of infrastructure. They need this stratospheric level of spending. And another thing I'm hearing as well is that, yes, this would have been driven by the private sector. Had this announcement not happened at the White House yesterday, these companies still would have been pouring billions in. But it is a way to underwrite this type of deal, to say you have the confidence of the U.S. government, you have the support of Donald Trump, and symbolically this was a massive deal for OpenAI and Sam Altman. If you think about the animosity, the feud between Elon Musk and Sam Altman, that it's been so public. Musk, of course, a key advisor of President Trump, and Sam Altman got his moment yesterday. It was sort of his debutante moment up there at the podium with Masa, with Larry Ellison, and getting the approval of President Trump. There was this open question: what is OpenAI's role going to be in this new administration? Are they going to be iced out of these sort of deals? We got proof yesterday that is not the case. Sam Altman, President Trump called him the leading expert on AI. So that.
All righty. So I'll play the Larry Ellison videos because you need context about Larry Ellison. But before that, the other trade I mentioned was SOXL. Okay, SOXL is 3x leverage of semiconductors. If you bought it here on Monday, anywhere here, you would have been pretty damn good. So let's say on average you were here. And that was a 31%. Beautiful. Okay. Now, of course, you could probably do options on SMH or SOXX. But right now, let's look at SMH, the ETF. So this is one semiconductor ETF. You see these lines I drew? So one of them was March 2024. That's where one place was. The other one was here, this gap here, June 2024, before you had these two big like peaks. Okay, before we just collapsed right there. You saw this red candle too, which pretty much gave you like an indication something was wrong. And that was before the Japan stuff happened. So people were already smelling something up. Now we're back here. If you look at the SOXX, now this one's even more messy. Okay, I drew way more lines here because this one's a little bit different. We have here on March. All right, so let me do a cleaner visual. All right, and I'll draw a line here for you, like here, March. Okay, and let me make it thick. All right, there you go. Make it blue, or how about this color? I don't know. And I'll do a solid line. So this thing was always plumbing the bottom here. So it was already below this. So this was actually acting like a little resistance here. This was I believe this was Columbus Day. So this was like Columbus Day was a pump on Monday, and then the day after Columbus Day, big red candle on some crazy news from, I think they leaked earnings, Applied Materials or somebody, Lam Research. It was one of those semiconductor companies. They leaked earnings. Very suspicious to me because we had that pump on nothing because Columbus Day. Nobody's around trading really on Columbus Day. So I was like, it pumps on a holiday. And then you get this after. Very suspicious. So this kind of set the tone for the rest of the year because semiconductors never really tried to get through this barrier until this week. Okay. And then you have another one up here, right? Right here. So this one looks a little bit different, doesn't it? Little bit different. But it does respect these two areas. Anyway, let's pull that back. Yeah, I'm not using a mouse. I'm using a trackpad right now. But anyway, yeah, you can see that. So getting back up here is going to be challenging. And that's probably going to require a lot of good news from NVIDIA. NVIDIA doesn't report until way later, close to March, February 26th. We got another month before NVIDIA talks. So there you go. this is going to be hard press, very hard press for me to believe that it's going to be an easy road ahead for the NASDAQ, because you're going to need semiconductors to go up. Software sector, IGV, ETF for software, it's recovered a little bit, but it got damaged pretty dang hard from December. And this thing was already dropping here on Monday, December 9th, before Jerome Powell killed it even further. So, yeah, I don't think it's just going to shoot right back up and get new highs, okay? That's just my thinking. So we're going to go sideways. I think we're going to try to get the new highs into February, maybe mid-February if we're lucky. So if Jerome Powell doesn't kill the market then, yeah, we could go climb a little bit higher mid-February, and then after that, roll back over into March. Okay? And March, April, when you see it roll over, that's when you start thinking, okay, now is the time I want to really buy stocks. But for now, this is just trading. You're going to trade for the rest of 2 months. So if you think January was it, you think January was it? Oh, yeah. This is just January. We're done. We're going to keep going up higher and higher and higher and higher. Nope. I'm sorry. That's not how it works. Once you get screwed up like this, have a huge damage, it's going to take a couple months before you get going again. It's kind of like this, right? July. It takes a while for it to get back going. Probably from, let's say, July to August, all the way down and back up. Late August into early September, and then here October we start getting back up here, and then we continue up. So it takes several months. You have to be patient. Nothing goes up and down in like wherever you want it to go. Everything's gonna be a game. This is a game right now being played. Okay, let's continue on to the next video. More AI stuff.
The show's Scale AI founder and CEO, Alexander Wang. His company provides accurately labeled data to help companies train their AI tools. And back in 2022, he became the youngest self-made billionaire in the world. Pretty amazing.
Thanks for having me on.
I want to go straight to what we were just talking about off camera, which is the idea of where the U.S. is on AI versus China, because you have some very surprising statistics that I think will probably, frankly, freak out some of the viewers.
So, yeah, first of all, the AI race and the AI war between U.S. and China, I think, is one of the most important issues of today. We took out a full-page ad on the Washington Post on Tuesday saying that, America must win the AI war. And so this sort of relative race in AI between the U.S. and China is critical. Today, we released Humanity's Last Exam, which is a new evaluation or benchmark of AI models that we produced by getting, math, physics, biology, chemistry professors to provide the hardest questions they could possibly imagine that are relevant to their recent research to really put the test to the models. To give you a sense, no model is getting above 10% on this test. That being said, what we found is that DeepSeek, which is the leading Chinese AI lab, their model is actually the top performing, or roughly on par with the best American models, which are O1 from
Okay, so
OpenAI.
I think we have been all under the impression that the U.S. was way ahead of China as it relates to AI, in large part because we have access to, NVIDIA GPUs and chips and other things that supposedly the Chinese do not have. I keep hearing from people all week, from Chinese AI executives, that they say, we're so close. And by the way, we're doing it with one hand tied behind our back. Our algos are better. We're actually going to figure out how to do this, do it better than the U.S. and in even a more energy efficient way, because we don't need these super powerful chips. Are they happen to be right?
There's two things happening. First, it is true. It has been true for a long time that the United States has been ahead. And that's been true for, maybe the past decade. That being said, the very recent event on Christmas Day, about a month ago, DeepSeek released a model, which, by the way, I think is symbolic that the Chinese lab releases, an earth-shattering model on Christmas Day when, the rest of us are sort of celebrating the holiday. And they released it to much fanfare, and then they followed up with their reasoning model, DeepSeek R1, which is the one that we evaluated as top of the leaderboard. The reality is yes and no. So the Chinese labs, they have more H100s than people think. And
these are the highest powered NVIDIA chips that they were not supposed to have.
Yes. My understanding is that DeepSeek has about 50,000 H100s, which they can't talk about, obviously, because it is against the export controls that the United States has put in place. And I think it is true that, I think they have more chips than other people expect, but also on a go-forward basis, they are going to be limited by the chip controls and the export controls that we have in place.
How do you, you work with everybody, so I don't know if it's fair or unfair, but how do you stack rank these large language models and who ultimately is going to be a winner? Or are they all so close and it gets commoditized?
The interesting thing that we see right now, so we actually specialize in this. We've produced our SEAL evaluations, our safety evaluations and alignment labs, evaluations which measure across many different dimensions. And we measure across math capabilities, coding capabilities, multilingual capabilities, and reasoning capabilities, and many different dimensions, including tool use and agent capabilities. And what we see is different models are better at different things. So it's hard to put a clear stack ranking among all the models. For example, the OpenAI models are extremely good at reasoning, but the Anthropic models might be really good at code. And sort of there's a diversity of capabilities of the models. That being said, I think what we're seeing in general is the space is becoming more competitive, not less competitive.
I keep hearing from business leaders here that they're all playing around with, OpenAI, or they're playing around with Claude, which is the Anthropic model, or they're playing around with Gemini, et cetera. And then they're going and using Llama. They're going to find some open source version to try to get close to what they could approximate these other guys doing because of just the different price points of these things. Do you think that's the future of this?
I think
like in a Linux world.
There's definitely a dimension. It comes down to ultimately the level of capabilities and intelligence that are required for your use case. I think ultimately what we're going to see is, what we do with all the leading labs, including OpenAI and Google DeepMind and Meta and many others, is continuing to push the frontier and push the boundaries. And so how do we leverage data, given that, as an industry, we've sort of run out of publicly available data? How do we generate new data to keep pushing the frontiers? And our belief is that, advanced capabilities are going to enable incredible use cases where you're going to be willing to pay for those increased capabilities. But for the more simplistic use cases, those will probably go more towards open source or more basic models.
We've been talking all morning about Stargate and the debate happening on Twitter between Sam Altman and Elon Musk about whether they really have $100 billion or $500 billion. Satya Nadella was sitting in your chair just yesterday saying he's got $80 billion, his money's real. He took to Twitter. What do you make of all of this? You know all these players.
So much is on Twitter anyway. So I'm not sure.
Or X, we should say.
Or yes. X. But I think one thing that is very real, regardless of sort of Stargate specifically as a program, is that the United States is going to need a huge amount of computational capacity and a huge amount of infrastructure. So this was actually we wrote a letter to the Trump administration on recommendations on how to ensure that the U.S. stays ahead. And one of them was really around infrastructure. We need to unleash U.S. energy to enable this AI boom. And that's clearly what we're seeing right now, which is, in addition to the Stargate program, many of the major AI companies and major clouds are going to be looking to build giant data centers. So
the reason I asked this about the different companies doing this, do you ultimately think we need 5, 6, 7 companies all trying to build frontier models? Or, there's been a talk forever that, in a different, if Lena Khan hadn't been running the FTC, would have Amazon wanted to buy Anthropic already, for example? Or would have Microsoft bought OpenAI? Or would have some of these folks, so there wouldn't be as many, everybody competing against each other in the same way? I don't know, maybe you think the competition's great. I just don't know how long term, how many models there ultimately will be like that.
Our view is actually that this is potentially going to be one of the greatest markets or the greatest industries ever. Right now, let's say there's between 10 and $20 billion of LLM-based revenue. And if you believe that we're actually on a track towards superintelligence or AGI, then it stands to reason that that's going to go to $1 trillion or more of revenue. And so if you're looking at a market that's going to go from, let's say, 10 billion to 1 trillion over who knows how many years. I tend to believe a fewer number of years. I think we're sort of in the 2 to 4 range.
2 to 4 to get to AGI. And what's your version of AGI?
I think, obviously there's many definitions. The definition I believe in is our powerful AI systems that are able to use a computer just like you or I could, and could use all the tools that a computer could, and could basically be a remote worker in the most capable way.
All right. Man, this AI stuff is never going to end. We're going to be talking about it forever. So let me go and read some articles. Let's read some articles for a while. Let's put some background music while I read these dang articles. Mm-mm-mm. So yeah, Bank of Japan, blah 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 stuff. So we're waiting on that. I think they won't talk for a couple hours. I'm not gonna stay up all here to watch them talk, but let me go back to Larry Ellison. Oh yeah. I was gonna play some Larry Ellison video, huh? Hey, I'm gonna play some Larry Ellison video. let me play that first for you guys. Hey, what's up, San Jose? All right. There's an old interview from PBS with Larry Ellison. Listen to him talk here.
With a passion. Me going down to the store and buying Windows 95, got to get in my car, drive down to a store, buy a cardboard box full of bits, encoded on a piece of plastic, a CD-ROM, bring it home, read a manual, and install this thing. You must be kidding. Put the stuff on the net. It's bits. Don't put bits in cardboard. Cardboard in trucks. Trucks to stores. Me go to the store. Pick this stuff out. It's insane. Okay, I love the internet. I want information, it flows across the wire.
So that was from like a documentary from PBS. I forgot what it was called. It was a very good documentary. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, it was called Triumph of the Nerds. All right, Triumph of the Nerds. You can go back. So Larry Ellison back then, this was the 90s, mind you. He was basically advocating for a return to mainframe computing in a way. So before we had personal computers, in the very old days, I think you guys are too young to know this, but when you had a computer, what happened was you went to an office building, you had a terminal, like probably from Digital Equipment. Clickety clack, clickety clack. You had a green screen, it looked like a green or amber looking screen. And it would connect locally inside your company to some big fat mainframe computer, probably a size of many rooms, refrigerator sized monstrosities that filled up all the walls with tape drives and all that. That was what it was. And actually, my school district, all the report cards were stored on these mainframes. Actually, you could go and hack them. You could actually dial in, because they had a dial-in network. You could just dial in with their phone line and handshake with the computer, and you probably could go in there and just start editing out your grades. So that's how you did in the old days. Hacking was a lot cooler back then. I don't know. Now it's sort of ridiculous. But anyway, Larry Ellison is an interesting guy. Very interesting. Actually, his old house is maybe 2-3 blocks from Nancy Pelosi's old place. They were in the same neighborhood in San Francisco. And so he runs Oracle. Okay, Oracle was one of those stocks I picked for my parents. I told them buy Apple and Oracle, and the only reason I did those two companies because the CEOs were kind of, eccentric, right? Steve Jobs, Larry Ellison's, and I think Steve Jobs and Larry Ellison were friends in a way. And yeah, Larry Ellison, very very eccentric person. Actually, he grew up quite. I think single mom. I think his mom left him to try to find his way back home. Dropped his ass off somewhere in some neighborhood. Some very interesting guy. But the interesting thing now is that when we go back here, Larry Ellison, let's see what we got now. Moderna surges after Larry Ellison calls out the potential of AI in cancer vaccines. And actually, before we got shut down on this show, I was talking about Moderna stock because it took a big fat hit. And too bad we were shut down, because after that news, I probably would have went on here and told people just buy Moderna, because it shot up again today. So for the past 2 days, it's been going up. That would have been a great trade to get Moderna. Any case, let's continue. I'm not going to play this thing here. Anyway, Moderna stock surged Wednesday after Oracle chairman Larry Ellison praised the potential of artificial intelligence in developing cancer vaccines. So this is January 22nd, 2025. This article is written. Okay, get rid of this. During a meeting at the White House, President Donald Trump announced a $500 million investment in AI infrastructure, according to the Economic Times. The same meeting saw Ellison tout the impact AI has had on healthcare. He specifically called out cancer detection, treatment, and cancer vaccines. Ellison claimed using AI, a messenger RNA-based vaccine could be produced robotically in just 48 hours. Moderna is using its mRNA technology to develop a cancer vaccine in partnership with Merck. Moderna is using the same platform it used to create its COVID vaccine, SpikeVax. Moderna's stock jumped 7.3%, closing at 38.50. Shares are burning up against a ceiling at their 50-day moving average. All right. Moderna stock, bespoke cancer vaccines. Moderna representatives did not respond to requests for comment about the feasibility of Ellison's claims. Ellison is correct that tumors shed their DNA into the bloodstream. Blood tests like Guardant Health's, I was in that stock at one point, Shield can detect those fragments early in a patient's cancer journey. Shield is approved to look for early signs of colorectal cancer. Each tumor has its own unique signature. Bespoke cancer vaccines like Moderna's train the body to look for early signs that cancer has returned following a treatment. The immune system can then mount a response because, thanks to the cancer vaccine, it knows the tumor's unique signature. Moderna is testing its cancer vaccine in combination with Merck's Keytruda. Oh, that's a terrible name. So far, the companies have presented test results from patients who have already been treated for melanoma and lung cancer. Okay, so now you know the game plan. You know the game plan. Moderna has been talking about this for quite a while. This is not new, but it is interesting that Larry Ellison cares about this. Got to pay attention. And now we got Masayoshi-san from Japan. So from SoftBank. So that adds money. So they got money to throw around. Those two rich guys throwing money into it on top of Sam Altman. So now we're playing a very interesting game. So I'm going to play another Larry Ellison video so you can get a feel for the guy. Because, yes, you should know your CEOs.
Difficult experience I had was in 1990 when Oracle had its only loss quarter in history. And we've been in business for 20 years. Of those 20 years, we lost money one quarter. And we had a very difficult time. We doubled our sales virtually every year for 10 years. And suddenly we'd hit a wall. We reached $1 billion in revenue, and we were having serious management problems all over the place. And the people who were running the company at the $1 billion company were the same people that run the company when we were a $50 million company, when 20th the size. And I had an incredible sense of loyalty to those people who worked with me to build Oracle. And it was a very painful realization I was going to have to change the management team, that the company had outgrown the management, that people who are good at running a $50 million company, those are the same skills. They're just different. Not one is better or worse. It's just entirely different skill set in running a $50 million company than a $1 billion company. And those skill sets are rare and precious. But we needed a different group of managers. And virtually the entire management team had to be replaced. I had no choice. I'd have to either ask them to leave Oracle or everyone would have to leave Oracle because there wouldn't be any Oracle left. And if I couldn't make that decision, then I had to go.
All right. Very capitalistic person there. So you see who are in charge right now. These people are coming in and they are really going to turn the screws on how we run things. Now, let's go back here to another article. So I don't know if you know about Peter Thiel, but you know about Palantir, right? So the stock I've been recommending. Well, there's another stock. Well, not a stock, another company with something from the Lord of the Rings called Anduril. Okay, Anduril, all right? Let's go here and look at what this is. Death machines will be built in Ohio. Blood, money, no reason to celebrate. This was written in January 22nd, 2025. Ohio lands drones, 4,000 jobs, January 16th. Hey, wow, 4,000 jobs, $60 an hour, $2 billion in sales, $800 million in tax revenue. Wait, what are we doing again? Oh, right, we're making death machines for the military-industrial complex. that has been sucking our budget since Eisenhower. Drones are used for two reasons: to bomb people and to spy on people in order to bomb them. This is not something to celebrate or even bragged about. This blood money, plain and simple, it's a sin. Blah, 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 blah. So, this is an opinion piece, right? But if we see here, Brian Shrimp, co founder and CEO of Anduril. All right, let me zoom in, see if you guys can read that. Anduril Industries and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, very famous in the John Galt circles for the immigrants, right, in Ohio from Haiti, stand on the podium as U.S. defense contractor Anduril held an event to announce a $1 billion investment in a Pickaway County factory that will employ 4,000 workers making military drones. Now, what did I say to HB when he was asking me about like what I thought about the immigration, all that? Well, I told you, just follow the money. Everything has been planned already. There are reasons for why these things happen. They were already planning this out long ago, setting things up. Now we have tons of factories building many parts, many things in Ohio, right? And you need workers. So this is what we're doing now. All right. Very good here. Look at that. Tons of people. Tons of people. Now, this is just an opinion piece, right? So let's go here. So maybe this is not an opinion piece. I'm not sure. Military drone contractor Anduril plans Columbus area factory that will employ 4,000 workers. Factory at Rickenbacker will be largest job creation project in state history. So Ohio's not just making Honda parts, are they? Yeah, I definitely need new parts for my Honda. But hey, I need drones too, don't I? January 16th, this was written. U.S. defense contractor Anduril plans to invest nearly $1 billion in a Pickaway County factory that will employ 4,000 workers making drones and other weapons for the military. Dubbed Arsenal One, the factory will be the largest job creation project in Ohio history. Anduril, based in Southern California, plans to start work in a few weeks on the first part of the 5 million square foot complex, estimated to cost $900 million. Arsenal One will be built on 500 acres south of Rickenbacker International Airport, which will allow room for additional expansion. Work will begin immediately after state and local approvals on an existing 700,000 square foot building, with the goal of producing the first products by the middle of 2026, said Christian Brose, Anduril's chief strategic officer. Look at that bad boy. Is that what they're building? Man, combine that with Palantir. Man, you could just launch all these things all across the world to bomb your ass. Amazing, amazing. Fascinating. This is fascinating. Yes, I am bullish on war, bullish on surveillance, bullish on all these things. That's what you're going to be bullish on for the next several years into the next decade, I would believe. All this stuff is the future. Ukraine was just a test project. That was the practice war for the real deal. This is the new war. War of information, war of drones, cyber war, and in space as well, with the Space Force, with satellites. Pretty sure the satellites will start shooting at each other, anything with surveillance. So, interesting, fascinating. See, the factory will be designed to produce tens of thousands of autonomous military systems annually. God. Such hyperscale production will be possible by keeping products simple and made from readily available materials. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now let's go to Stargate here. So the Stargate project, as you heard, right, $100 billion venture from OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle, will be built on a Texas city. Actually, there is a stock, Texas utility stock, probably good to buy. There's going to be a lot of companies that will need a lot of energy in Texas. But before we go to that, let's see what Sam Altman has a fight with Elon on this video here.
Hi, Scott. So I'm told by a source that OpenAI CEO Sam Altman had a, quote, lengthy phone call with President Trump on Friday. It did focus on AI's potential. They walked through what this technology is really capable of and certain parts of the infrastructure plan that was laid out yesterday. The source here asked not to be named because these discussions were confidential, but they did say it was productive. They described it as amicable. And Trump publicly yesterday really calling Altman at the White House the leading expert on AI. And then on that call Friday, I mentioned President Trump, according to this person who was in the room, said he was most animated about, Trump was most animated about the actual building aspect here and the importance of this happening in the U.S. and not happening in China, what it signaled for confidence in the country under his administration, and then the potential job creation that was also mentioned yesterday. I am told that the OpenAI team first met with the Trump team back in June. This was in Las Vegas to do a demonstration of the technology. It was through the COO of the company, Brad Lightcap, and Greg Brockman, who is the OpenAI president. I am also hearing that Altman's ties to Larry Ellison, a longtime Trump supporter and founder of Oracle, have helped his standing with the Trump team. He also has the support and financial backing, importantly, of Masayoshi Son, the SoftBank founder. Those two are increasingly close. That relationship has gotten stronger, and Masa-san has already committed, you'll remember, $100 billion to invest in the U.S. ahead of this Stargate announcement that came yesterday. Those ties to Ellison and Son are really important, guys. It's given him what appears to be a halo effect, which so far has been outweighing the beef that Sam Altman has with another key Trump ally, Elon Musk. There had been some questions in this administration on how Altman was going to fare. Musk, of course, the co-founder of Tesla, a variety of companies, and also a co-founder of OpenAI, still suing OpenAI over its nonprofit status. Altman responding to Musk's post on social media, kind of ragging on this deal. He responded saying, wrong, as you surely know. This is great for the country. He says, I realize what's great for the country isn't always what's optimal for your companies, but I hope you'll mostly put America, or the USA emoji, first. So Altman publicly fighting back as well. Scott, back to you.
Let me ask you more about that, because there was a little bit more that has since come out, and I want you to sort of opine on that. After OpenAI announced the Stargate project on social media, Musk responded, quote, they don't actually have the money, which I believe he later clarified and suggested he was talking about SoftBank. You tell me if that's correct or not. Sam Altman then responded saying, quote, I genuinely respect your accomplishments and think you are the most inspiring entrepreneur of our time. You want to shed some more light on that exchange?
Yes, and I think you're right where that comment was specifically about SoftBank. But this really aligns with some of the public rhetoric we've heard between Sam Altman and Elon Musk so far. Altman has said, what's best for the country should supersede any sort of personal animosity. And he has said all of this publicly in interviews. He sort of went over this in DealBook as well. And so it aligns with sort of his stance on Musk, which he's called him publicly a bully. He's sort of subtly hit back. But I think the last couple of days, we've really seen proof that the Musk animosity, at least so far, is not getting in the way of his relationship with the Trump administration, his ability to be a big part of these deals, and the symbolism of him being up there with Larry Ellison, with Masa-san. It's just such a win for Altman as CEO of OpenAI, and at a time when it was really under question if he would have any sort of role, if he would be able to get a seat at the table at some of these big AI infrastructure deals, which are key to the success of this $157 billion company at this point.
I mean, it's interesting, as you said in your reporting, that the president called Sam Altman the leading expert on AI, given the proximity of Musk to him and this whole story with XAI.
Yes,
to watch further,
yeah.
to say that. I think we're going to be talking a lot about this, Kate. I appreciate your reporting. Thank you.
All right, back to the article. Let's go here. I still haven't seen anything too much with the yen. The yen's definitely definitely strengthening. Okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or whatever, but if the dollar is getting too hot, or I don't know. Oh, actually, the dollar is weakening right now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing too much yet. I don't think anything serious will happen until they start talking. So once the Bank of Japan starts talking overnight, we'll hear something. Okay. You'll see something in the morning by then. And yeah, tropes. I'm gonna look up that company you told me. So I'm looking at that thing, Red Cat. Okay, I'll put that in. Another one to add to the things you've been telling me. Told me some other AI ones too, but yeah, all of them are kind of like these volatile, tradable names, but nothing I can seriously say. Oh, all right, yeah, this is gonna be the next Palantir. This is gonna, yeah. We're too early right now, especially with the market as it is. By 2026, I'm expecting something to crash the markets. So we're gonna have to wait up on these things. These things are just gonna be trades. I don't think we can take any serious long position by the early 2026. Only thing I can seriously recommend now are infrastructure type stocks, which I'll go over later if I get to it today. Okay, let me get my background music. I gotta learn how to use this dang thing again. All right. Let me see. Vibes. Yeah. All right. Alrighty. I'll read this dang article. In a small Texas city, let me lower the volume. Small Texas city nearly 200 miles west of Dallas, the first data center associated with the $100 billion Stargate venture from OpenAI, SoftBank Group Corporation, and Oracle Corporation is taking shape. About 875 acres in Abilene, or roughly the size of New York Central Park, have been set aside to construct data centers, according to city documents seen by Bloomberg News. Oracle facilities that Chairman Larry Ellison has said are for Stargate are being developed on this land, according to people familiar with the matter. When it's done, these data centers will help power cutting-edge artificial intelligence systems from OpenAI. While the space for data centers is massive, the number of guaranteed full-time jobs is not. The project must create at least 57 full-time positions, earning an average wage of $57,600 annually, according to the documents, though the final tally could be higher. The details, some of which have not previously been reported, hint at both the scale of the ambition for Stargate and the uncertainty around its future job creation potential. Earlier this week, President Donald Trump announced the venture alongside Ellison and other tech executives and said it will create over 100,000 American jobs. In a blog post, OpenAI went further and said these investments, which are expected to include infrastructure projects across the country over the next 5 years, would create hundreds of thousands of American jobs. Typically, however, data center projects like this one underway in Abilene result in far fewer long-term jobs than traditional tech campuses. While there is an initial burst of construction roles to build these facilities, data centers don't require as much full-time staff once they're operational. OpenAI backer Microsoft, for example, employed just 325 people across its data centers in Texas, according to a report from the company published last April. The software maker expects to have 791 full-time employees and contractors in its operational facilities in Texas by the end of 2026 and nearly 3,000 construction jobs, the report said. All right, there you are. Let me go down here. Let's see. In a policy proposal released by OpenAI in November, the ChatGPT maker outlined how building an unprecedented 5 gigawatts data center campus, enough to power entire cities, would create or support more than 44,000 jobs in Texas and a comparable number in other states. That figure included 14,000 construction jobs as well as indirect employment from worker spending in the area. According to a report, the data centers in Abilene will be smaller than that. Crusoe said in July that the first phase of the project will be for a 200 megawatt data center, which plans to expand to 1.2 gigawatts of power. By almost any standard, the Abilene construction is a huge project reflecting the growing computing needs from tech companies to build more advanced AI services. In Texas, 1 gigawatt is typically enough to power 200,000 homes, and the space for the facility will be correspondingly sprawling. All right. Okay, so all these articles I read are on links in the description. So all the links are in the description. Very interesting. Very interesting. You need a lot of power. So that's why I'm telling you guys, utility stocks, CEG has been up like 20 to 30% from New Year's. These things are gonna blow up like more. Man, natural gas, everything like that. Everything. So definitely look into that. Okay. Let's go on to this one. Musk clashes with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman over Trump supported Stargate AI data center project. So this was what that video was alluding to. Elon Musk is clashing. This is written in January 23rd, today. Elon Musk is clashing with OpenAI CEO Sam Altman over the Stargate artificial intelligence infrastructure project touted by President Donald Trump in the latest in a feud between the two tech billionaires that started on OpenAI's board and is now testing Musk's influence with the new president. Trump on Tuesday had talked up a joint venture investing up to $500 billion through a new partnership formed by OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, alongside Oracle and SoftBank. The new entity, Stargate, is already starting to build out data centers and the electricity generation needed for the future, for the further development of fast-evolving AI technology. Trump declared a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under his new administration with an initial private investment of $100 billion that could reach 5 times that sum. But Musk, a close Trump advisor, who helped bankroll his campaign and now leads a government cost-cutting initiative, questioned the value of the investment hours later. They don't actually have the money, Musk wrote on his social media platform X. SoftBank has well under $10 billion secured. I have that on good authority. Altman responded Wednesday to say Musk was wrong, as you surely know, inviting Musk to come visit the first site in Texas that is already under construction. This is great for the country. I realized what is great for the country isn't always what's optimal for your companies. But in your new role, I hope you'll mostly put America first, Altman wrote, using a U.S. flag emoji to represent America. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of this. You can read like that part. Okay, I'll read this one. I'll read this part here. When did Stargate start? Tech news outlet The Information first reported on an OpenAI data center project called Stargate in March 2024, indicating that it's been in the works long before Trump announced it. Another company, Crusoe Energy Systems, announced in July it was building a large and specially designed AI data center at the northwestern edge of Abilene, Texas, at a site run by energy technology company Lansicum. Lanscium? Oh man, these names. Crusoe and Lancium said in a joint statement at the time that the project was supported by a multi-billion dollar investment, but didn't disclose its backers. Oh, I wonder who they are. AI technology requires huge amounts of electricity to build and operate, and both companies said the project would be powered by renewable sources, such as nearby solar farms, in a way that Lancium CEO Michael McNamara, all right, said would deliver the maximum amount of green energy at the lowest possible cost. Crusoe said it would own and develop the facility. It's not clear how and when that project became the first phase of the Stargate investment revealed by Trump. Abilene Mayor Walton Hurt said construction began about 9 months ago, but we didn't know it was going to be quite this big. We thought it was going to be about a third of this size. Surprise! Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison said Tuesday that the Abilene project is the first of about 10 data center buildings currently built, and that number could expand to 20. Hurt told the Associated Press that the region surrounding Abilene, a city of about 130,000 people, benefits from a wealth of energy sources, including oil, gas, solar, and some of the largest wind farms in the world. Though Trump signaled opposition to wind power this week by temporarily halting approval of wind projects on federal land, we have the capability to produce the energy for this market, so it really means a lot for a town like Abilene, Hurt said, to have this opportunity here in west central Texas to have something like this to make Abilene substantial. We're just excited about it. All right, let's go down to this Microsoft quote here. Okay. Look, all I know is I'm good for my 80 billion, said Nadella, laughing. All right. So Microsoft's good for 80 billion, at least, right? We got 80 billion. Somebody's putting down some money. All right, we're done with reading those articles, but yeah, you can see energy. That is where the money's going to be. So the last phase of a bull market, what did you guys learn from me? Is a commodities bull market. When you see commodities go up, that's when you know you're near the end. So I think we're about to see the end of the tech boom here. The tech stocks will hit a minor new peak, and that'll be it. But for the rest of the year into 2026, energy stocks, utility stocks, commodity stocks, those will be the ones that'll be outperforming from the second half of this year into the first half of next year, 2026. And sometime in 2026, something will happen, something will break, I assume. All right, so we'll discuss that as we move along this year. Okay, so now let's continue on with some videos. I think I was going to do heavy equipment stocks. Yes. So that will cover some Deere, some General Electric. Let's go.
Stocks lifting the market higher today. Among the biggest winners, GE Aerospace, the second best performer in the S&P. The stock jumping almost 7% after an earnings and revenues beat. GE posting its highest close since October 2007. Caterpillar also higher. The best performing Dow stock is up 2% on optimism surrounding new power plants for AI. And Deere, 3% higher, hitting an all-time high today. Can these industrial-sized gains hold? Now, remind me, Karen, you have an industrial in your acronym, but I can't seem to remember which one
because it doesn't line up with the name of the company.
Right, exactly.
Well, let's say you were to rent equipment. What do you think the letter would be?
URI.
All right, call it what you will. Still, URI, they report next week. I think they'll have a good quarter. More importantly, they announced what I think is a very good acquisition for them a week or two ago, H&E Equipment. I still like it.
Who is that? The old chart, the technician used to come
Louise
on.
Yamada.
And what she used to say, Dan?
The longer the base, higher in space.
If our crack staff in EC can put up a chart of Deere and Company, formerly John Deere, you'll see the base.
Oh, I love that. That's my favorite quote of the technicians. The larger the base, the higher the space. And what I tell you at the beginning of this show with Deere, that stock, last year I was looking at that range from 2021, January 2021. We have a huge base, and we're breaking out of it. So I hope this is not a false signal.
Of John Deere for quite some time now, for about 2.5 years. So you have this long basing formation.
I mean, when you're trading?
In the context of this, absolutely, Tim, I do.
Sure.
Because
what other contexts are there?
Now we're having a very significant breakout. So that is a long base. The longer in base, the higher in outer space. Louise is watching right now, by the way. Hello.
Huge fan of the show.
You can't have a conversation about GE Aerospace and Renault without, you have to applaud Larry Culp. I mean, think about where this company was 5 years ago. It was a laughing stock. And yet there were so many great assets and core businesses. And I just want to say this, and as someone that probably sold upside calls on GE Aerospace way too early, by the way, upside calls aren't a free lunch. You can sometimes trade yourself out of a position you should have stayed in. I did that with this name. I think you stay it.
All right, let's look at the base again. Let's look at the base. Look at that. Look at that. So pretty much from 2021, the whole 2021 until now. So we got actually 4 years. I mean, come on, bruh. Bruh. This is looking real delicious. Really delicious. So that's one stock we got here. So DE, deer. All right. Now let's look at the other one. They were talking about cat. I know one of you guys were talking about cat for a while, telling me like, what about cat? Yeah, cat's good. It's got a nice trend. It's been trending quite nice. So now we're waiting for breakout here. So is this going to be confirmed or not? That's my question. All right. So we got to look at that area. So yeah, it could continue. It could continue this year, but we'll see. So cat, another one to watch. Now let's look at the others. Let's see. CEG, that nuclear natural gas utility company I'm talking about. Yes, this is very nice. I mean, it kind of did a pullback right after, right? On Monday, but it just ripped. It just decided, like last Monday, it just like decided, yeah, I'm going up another 20%. It's just like, fuck yeah. It's not giving any chance to buy more. So CEG, Constellation Energy. All right. And then we have another one. What's the other one? Another utility, BKV. It's a new boy. I mentioned this last year. IPO'd in Texas. And guess what? It just started shooting up. Just before it has earnings. So it's very recent. It has no history in this chart. I'm not sure if it's an IPO or it got merged or something, and we don't have any history before September 2024, but doing quite fine so far this year. So BKV, see what the name is. BKV Corporation, apparently. That's the name. Pretty boring. All right. So yeah, that's something I've been watching. Since it's an IPO, it's hard to actually like be convinced about it though, if it's an IPO even. I mean, it does have that at the start here. It looks like an IPO. The way it's like just going sideways for a month or so before it just popped on the election. All right. What's the other one? Boeing. Yeah, Boeing, of course. That's kind of like a no-brainer one because like it dipped here into 139 area, so that's the time to buy, and then went up, pulled back a bit, and looks like it wants to go back up again. So I don't know. Honestly, for anybody that didn't get it in the price here near 140, 139, it's maybe you should wait for earnings. Let's see, next Tuesday, January 28th. Don't know what's going to happen then. Intel next week too. Yeah, it had a bounce because somebody tried to make a rumor that it's going to have a merger, but as you can see, like all it did was like get back up to the top of that cyan line that was set in August last year. So yeah, we're still at the bottom. I wouldn't be rushing to get it. So what's going to happen is that they have no CEO right now. We have 3 co-CEOs, 3 of them, 2 of them. I have no clue what's going to happen in earnings call. It's probably going to be a mess. Everybody's going to be asking all kinds of questions. So this is going to be Thursday after Jerome Powell speaks. Quite risky just to assume that you think 19 is the bottom. There's a good chance that it could just collapse right here all the way through 19 and go lower. That's why I said last year. I was like, well, I wouldn't be surprised if it just went through because this is going to be a big turnaround story. It's going to take many years for it to recover from this. Okay, so this is the same thing with GE. This was a multi-year recovery story, right? So it took many years for people to be patiently buying between 2018 to 2022. Like it went sideways here before it actually went back up, as we see now. All right, and it's split into 3 companies. I think Intel will split into multiple companies as well. That's what's going to happen. GEV is another one. This is the nuclear part of GE that split off. And when it split off, this stock was amazing. The stock is very amazing. So these are kind of these stocks you want to have on your long-term portfolio, the GE and GEV. So GE Vernova is nuclear, and for a nuclear stock, it's quite stable, compared to like the most people, they think nuclear, they will go for the miners, but I would say like go for the utility stocks and the infrastructure stocks. GEV is for infrastructure and CEG is for the utility side of it. So you got two right there. So compared to mining stocks, like you look at the ETF uranium, see it's just going sideways like this. Is like, nah, this is crazy. I have it'll probably be fine this year, but as you can tell, it's like it's stuck, right? It's been stuck for a couple years now. Uranium miners. Okay. Let's see what else. What else? GED, CAT, VST, VRT. I think VRT. Vertiv. I think this one. What was this? I keep forgetting which one was which. VRT, Vertiv. Yeah, liquid cooling. This one was liquid cooling for data centers. So that's infrastructure. And VST. See, I think VST is nuclear too, right? Yeah, nuclear. Yeah, infrastructure. So VST is nuclear infrastructure. So you can look at that one as well. Same thing with the GEV then. All right, so VST, Vistra for nuclear infrastructure, and then you have VRT for the water cooling. They just look like good charts to me. I can't say too much about the company, but so far, very good trend from 2023, $14 to $150. VST, very good, 26 to 200. And it's been respecting these moving averages, you can see. So I'm doing the weekly 18. When you see this, okay, I could look at Sprouts Family Market, right? Look at that. It pulled back at the end of the year and it's still respecting it. When you have this week, you can't fight it. This is a good long-term chart. So these type of stocks, when you go zoom out and you have a weekly chart that looks like this, no, this is very good, very strong. So very hard to fight. You're going to have to prove to me that it's really going to just end the trend here. Now, if we can look at Palantir before we continue, like look at that. So it's recovered all its losses from like the start of the year. So all these guys who probably sold because they're like, oh yeah, well I held it for tax reasons. It's a new year, I could sell it. I'm getting out of here. It's just bouncing back again. So yeah, you're not gonna get much of a dip. I'm sorry guys. If you guys were waiting for Palantir to get cheaper, yeah, it's not gonna make it here. All right. Let's go and look at Samantha LeDuc, okay, for that video to end this stream. And then I'll continue on tomorrow with whatever I need to do left over. But Samantha has some advice for you guys about Trump and all that.
The 3-part options course with Hans Albrecht. Get access for free by scanning this QR code or clicking on the link in the description.
We got to talk about, of course, the Trump bump, which is still in effect, by the way. And we have got a smooth transition. That's the good news. Thank goodness, as it relates to disruption here, would not have been a good thing. And he started out right away disrupting the executive orders that were in place. So if you had time yesterday, that was one of the first things he did. He went through basically about 100 and reversed them. So lots and lots of orders reversed, federal hiring freeze and the like, but no specific announcement on tariffs. So, TikTok got a delay, pulled out of the Paris Climate Pact, the World Health Organization, things that he had already said he was going to do. Lots and lots of oil and gas leasing bans were revoked, as well as, of course, talk about tariffs, but none that were actually rolled out. He did talk about Mexico and Canada by February 1st, if they don't get their act together, apparently, and deal with the fentanyl. But it was really kind of hidden, I think, where the focus was on trade with China. We haven't had anything yet. He's still obviously negotiating that deal. But lots of focus, and the dollar dump was on the announcement of threatened plans to impose duties as much as 25% on Mexico and Canada by February 1st. Don't be surprised if those get lifted. I really think that has a lot more to do with the fentanyl and migration. And he's already really spoken to that very seriously. So I think that's not so much trade as it is immigration and fentanyl. So the big focus is going to be on China. China trade, that has not been announced, but even in the executive order where he talks about trade, he references China 10 times. Only Canada and Mexico as it relates to migration and fentanyl flows. So I think we're waiting for the big shoe to drop here. Also, of course, as part of kind of reshoring efforts, there will be, I'm sure, some tax changes. This literally was just announced. Has ordered officials to draw up retaliatory measures against countries applying extraterritorial levies on U.S. multinationals. And we know this is where the money is hiding. We know. So it's a good threat there for reshoring. But long story short, we have got a tax regime that enables and I would say encourages pharma companies, mega cap tech companies from going abroad and staying abroad, not repatriating those profits home so that they are not taxed and finding other ways to hide them. So he would really kind of take a little hit there to tech earnings, which would be potentially market bearish. Got to follow through on all of these things, by the way, but this is just something that would help with a bearish backdrop for the large tech companies, which right now have earnings coming in. And I have got a sneaking suspicion that everybody is really eyes on the prize. How important is it for them to beat? Now, we already know Apple got downgraded and just got downgraded again this morning. All eyes on Microsoft and Capex are really very front and center as it relates to this IA transition, not to mention the new quantum vibes. But they have got to beat, they've got to beat handily. And yes, the bar has been lowered, but I don't think it's going to be at all easy for Q2, as I mentioned. So we've definitely have had higher energy costs, higher yields, higher dollar as a headwind to their bottom line. And now we've got threatened tax regime, global tax regime changes, which would also force some new accounting, creative accounting, I'm sure. But this is also going to lend to that thesis of mine that I still think Q1 is going to be fine, like the earnings. But they do have to crush it. The bar is lowered. We know that. Q2 is just going to be tough. It's just going to be really tough. So keep that in mind. We are not out of the woods here for rest of year by any stretch. And then you probably saw how Trump is also going to be freezing hiring in government jobs, which makes sense, of course. But the reality is they have been, I'm talking about U.S. government jobs, has been the absolute driver to keep unemployment low. The private sector has been crowded out and is responsible for job losses in the prior year. So we would have a much bigger unemployment rate if we did not have that hiring that was going on by the U.S. government. So the fact that they have frozen hiring means how is the private sector going to take up that slack? Not easily at all. So we have also a lot of clarification here on this DOGE, Department of Government Efficiencies, which is really not about cutting dollars as threatened or promised by Musk. Vivek is not in it anymore, so now it's the Department of One. Musk will run it, and he'll. They found a way around, so there won't be an immediate lawsuit against this non-elected official, Musk coming in and directing U.S. policy. Nope, they found a way around it. Anyway, this will be very much about capturing data, very focused on having the AI tech bros filtering through tons and tons of juicy training data for policy recommendations. So Vivek is out. We have a new kind of flavor here as it relates to Department of Government Efficiency. We have probe into Beijing compliance, but nothing yet. And then, of course, I'm sure everybody saw the meme coin. I hate to even, bring it up, but literally this Trump meme coin that came out and went to market cap territory that was ridiculous, just diminished, as far as I'm concerned, the whole legitimacy but that's my little hill I'll die on. Anyway, I'm very curious how much money Hood made from this transaction. But the point is, there is no question those who are loyal to Trump are getting the inside track, and the inside track on his meme coins and the rest are making them gazillions of dollars. As I just showed you, that one transaction went from 1 million to 300 million in a New York minute. And Bitcoin was not talked about in his executive orders, but that's not really the point. The crypto move, the crypto craze is still in full effect, and this is still correcting in time, not price. It did hit a new high this weekend of 109,000, so it still looks pretty perky. Also, Ethereum's coming back up off the Midland area, so we're still watching that. But in the meantime, the dollar is the focus for the most part. You've got a big dump when there was an announcement of February 1st, Mexico-Canada tariffs, and then it kind of popped a little bit. You can see what happened with the euro and the pound sterling. They have reversed higher. You can see yen and yuan have reversed lower, but this is a gap down on tariff threats. Very unlikely that they're really going to go forward, by the way, on February 1st with 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada. But it is a good market mover, right? We're going to have a few of those. Lots and lots of headline risk over the next, 4 years. Gold is getting more supported, and why wouldn't it? Lots and lots of gyrations here to get back above 27.5, but this is definitely still grinding higher. Silver will have its day later, and you can see yields are softening, which means that TLT bull risk reversal is still very strong with a February expiry and has not even come back down yet as a test to get back in. He has already called an energy emergency, which is really kind of funny, but talking about tapping down energy costs, which, if you know, there is really that's definitely political. If he really wanted to make some significant change, he'd go into auto insurance, right? That's just the 12-month change is up 11%. He talks about housing, but best way is to lower interest rates. And ultimately, energy is not going to be the whole kit and caboodle, but it's definitely a bear trap, as warned when it got back up here into that 79.11 area. You can see the gap down and then the continuation, right? So we're back down from that 79.11.80 area into my 75.65, and it looks like a nice softening. Yields hit that perfect 4.79 and then gap down and are still softening. So bonds are bid, yen not so much today. Bank of Japan has their meeting Friday, so Thursday night we'll start to get kind of anxious about whether they hike or not. In the meantime, in the between time, markets feeling the vibe here of higher based on reduced regulations, tax cuts, and no specific tariff policy announced. So the relief is still in the house. All right, so here is the dollar. We had this really kind of nice head and shoulders. We're dumped right back down to 108. 108 is the support. And you know this from the last time we had post-election, the run-up where we had inflation starting to get priced in, pro-growth policy starting to get priced in from Trump. We've moved all the way back up here, and the anxiety around what about tariffs? And then, of course, will there be job shedding at the U.S. government level, which will really require the private sector to pick up the slack, or we're going to have a higher unemployment rate? How are they going to tackle that? So this is, as I mentioned, kind of the smile. So the dollar moves higher, both in times of stress, fear, economic slowdown, and it moves higher also in greed, economic growth. So the dollar of late has been attributed to moving higher on the Trump win and the pro-growth policies, reduced taxes, regulation, etc. And we will see if this initial rollover retest, which was already very extended, will turn into a theme. But we would need to get and stay below 108. You know the lines, you know the levels, and then big picture back below 105, 105.40. I do have some intermarket that I did. Dollar is still supported, big picture. The other time that it goes higher, of course, is in risk off when we're kind of worried about an economic slowdown. That's not right now in the cards for the reason it's more the tariff tremors. Here is the bear steepener in the 2-year, 10-year yield curve, which on a daily, you will notice that it has broken my key cherry-picked indicator and it has flattened as bonds got bid up with the yen. Now, you can see on a weekly, however, it has not broken its trend. So in a short duration, yes, it has flattened. That has helped the bond bounce. But on a trend standpoint, it is not done. It likely comes right back down to where it broke out and turns and moves higher. It has a habit of every price target, like there it is, it's so close, just go get it. Nope, it's going to come back now, and more likely, if it stays in this mode, which I think is happening, where the bonds are getting supported as the yields fall, right, and the dollar falls with it, this is going to come back down and it's going to get supported and move higher. And so then we're really going to have a test of the Trump 2.0. You can see what happened with this bear trap. It was very bear trappy, bull trappy, I should say. This was the trend line. We made it all the way up. It was a nice kind of 7 to 9% advance here, and then it moved even stronger. So we had a overshoot. This was my overshoot level.
Oh, what's up? Let me see if this video got stuck here. Sometimes it does that. So we're playing pretty well, but now this video got stuck, I think, somewhere around 12 minutes. So let me try to reload it. Oh, StreamYards was doing so well up until now. Okay, let me see.
The three-part options course.
Okay, let me see.
As bonds got bid up with the yen.
All right,
Now,
yeah, that's where it got stuck.
market that I did, dollar is still supported, big picture. The other time that it goes higher, of course, is in risk off, when we're kind of worried about an economic slowdown. That's not right now in the cards for the reason it's more the tariff tremors. Here is the bear steepener in the 2-year, 10-year yield curve, which on a daily, you will notice that it has broken my key cherry-picked indicator, and it has flattened as bonds got bid up with the yen. Now, you can see on a weekly, however, it has not broken its trend. So in a short duration, yes, it has flattened. That has helped the bond bounce. But on a trend standpoint, it is not done. It likely comes right back down to where it broke out and turns and moves higher. It has a habit of every price target, like there it is, it's so close, just go get it. Nope, it's going to come back now, and more likely, if it stays in this mode, which I think is happening, where the bonds are getting supported as the yields fall, right, and the dollar falls with it, this is going to come back down and it's going to get supported and move higher. And so then we're really going to have a test of the Trump 2.0. You can see what happened with this bear trap. It was very bear trappy, bull trappy, I should say. This was the trend line. We made it all the way up. It was a nice kind of 7 to 9% advance here, and then it moved even stronger. So we had a overshoot. This was my overshoot level to 79.11, 80.5, and then we did a complete alley-oop. Now the oil and gas companies underneath the surface did a lot better, right? You saw the refiners, you saw the XLE contingency. The oil and gas space was just very, very firm, even with metals and mining, but much more so the energy space, in combination with a anticipated falling dollar in yields, but also the policies, and also the fact that we had that growth rotation, which was right here, demonstrated in this head and shoulders, kind of come back down into this 2.0. This is my growth value rotation. Lovely pullback, really strong pullback, which helped the XLE, XME, and all the rest, basically interest rate sensitive plays, come up off the ground. They come up off the ground because we're expecting the yen to move higher with BOJ potential hike. We're expecting bonds to move higher with the weakening in dollar and yield, which is a strong Trump trade, if you will. Now that he's in, we got to see if we can actually follow through on fundamentals, not just sentiment. But this definitely showed that we were going to have a rotation in value, which means when this indicator is falling, value plays are bid. It has not even come back down to base to move higher yet. So they're still bid, long story short. We've come all the way back down again to that kind of 75, 65 area. That's the orange right here. Boom. And nat gas is still playing with that 3.4, but it's doing a lot better. In fact, it does look a little bear flagging, so could soften some more, but big picture, all of this incredible run up. This is the crack ETF, right? Valaro, PBF, Marathon, and the lot. They did a one-way train here into this inauguration. So it is time for a little pullback, a little digestion. I know folks are like, what do I get in the energy space? wait until it comes back and digests a little bit, because this is the run up. It gets very exuberant, and then it says, oh, that's right, I got to look back down here and get a case of vertigo. So we are having that little case here, right? This is light crude oil futures had a wonderful run up, overshot. That was the overshot. And now look at it, comes right back in. So you can kind of hold in a little bit for some stabilization here in the oil and gas land. I don't think this is unusual that we get too excited and then come back in and digest. All right, so this was that head and shoulders move in my dollar yield ratio. Boom. And with that, this jumped here. Remember that day? I had to get and stay above 59.05. And then it continues to fall, right? Little bump, and then it continues to fall. Little bump. So big picture, we're getting closer to that 300. So 300 is the risk off level, as I mentioned before. I'll show this to you on a big picture, but the point is we are coming back down, stair stepping now. First we took, right, boom, elevator down, and now we're stair stepping down, and we're going to head back down to that 300, and we'll see how it does then. But for right now, we got a lot of gaps to fill, both on the downside as well as the upside still, but we're going to hit that, right? We're going to hit this gap from 60.37 in SPX. Obviously, it's pre-market, so you don't see that, but we are already doing a push in the NASDAQ from the election gap fill all the way up into the prior January 6th high. So this was, this is on a 2-hour chart, it's hard to see, but remember the green shoots from Friday, December 20th, which was the end of options expiration, right? So we had this big bump, and then we made a retest, and then we made a little bounce, which was still a lower high, a little lower high. Now we've beaten that. So now we've absolutely gotten above the lower high. It's much more productive. It's broken a lot of this pattern, and it's excited about moving into 527 next. But down here was SPY. If you remember, I had that 596 as next price target. Pretty easy to see. It's that trend line. We hit it by Friday, and then we just kept going. And here's the next price target, which is the 603. Now up here, I would not expect it to get volatile above, because we have earnings. Typically, earnings are kind of like this volatility clench. We don't do too much. So I think that's pretty much where I would expect some softening up here, is in this 603. So if you...
So yes, we are already there. We are already at that area for both NASDAQ and S&P 500. And she talked about oil a bit, and I'm going to read this article for you guys. Last article for tonight. And I'll explain why oil had to pull back. So this is a very good article for you guys to learn. And you can go to the description, okay, and get the article there if you want to read further. But before we go that, we're going to talk about the Texas Instruments. So this is a big semiconductor company, and it's usually a bellwether company because it has a lot more general parts that they sell, and automotive is one of the big sectors that Texas Instruments sells, and it's down like 4% right now after the earnings today. So that means most of the semiconductors are going to require a lot of motivation to move up with AI. NVIDIA does not report for another month. Intel is probably going to be a clusterfuck. You have 3 CEOs, 3 co-CEOs on there talking. So it's not going to work. Hey, what's up, Bomb Cherry? You got to go to the other, there's another stream running. So I think you want to go over there. This is the finance stream. So let me see if it's on. I'll give you the link. Hold up. So yeah, go to this link, Bomb Cherry. Go here. This is where the main stream is running with Stanley right now. Anyway, so Texas Instruments, we're gonna have an issue, I think, tomorrow. I don't know how much it will affect the NASDAQ. Like Netflix pretty much pumped the NASDAQ this week. It helped it a lot. So I don't think Texas Instruments is gonna hurt it too much tomorrow. But of course, we gotta wait for the Bank of Japan to talk, right? So let's go on to the oil stuff here. Okay, let me go and get the background music going. Okay, so this is McClellan. This is his blog. This is January 16th. He wrote this last week. Okay. And you can see what oil is doing this week. Crude oil futures backwardation spike. So you gotta learn this stuff. Backwardation contango. So if you know futures, you need to know this. So contracts are set every month. Every month has a different contract date. And this is where you can understand where oil and natural gas and all these guys are, or maybe they'll go. Okay. So you're going to see here raw dollar spread between near month and 11-month out contract. Backwardation near price higher than distant month. So that means the current month's price is a lot higher than distant month. You have contango, you have near price month lower than the months ahead. And you had this big contango event happen during COVID where oil was essentially went negative in price. Anyway. Crude oil prices are showing at least a short-term topping condition. Yeah, no shit. Based on seeing the near month, February 2025 contract price well above that of January 2026. So next year, pretty much next year. This produces the big spread that you see in this week's chart, which says that prices have become stretched to the upside. Any futures contract represents two positions simultaneously. We talked about this before. One long and one short, each held by different people. The short position holder is obligated to deliver the specified amount of the subject commodity at a time and place identified in the futures contract. For crude oil, the delivery site is the Giant Oil Storage Facility in Cushing, Oklahoma. If the short position holder does not want to have to make delivery of the product there, then he has to find someone else to purchase that contract before it reaches the expiration date. The holder of the long side of that contract is similarly obligated to accept delivery at the specified location or sell that contract before expiration to get out of that obligation. In soft commodities like energy or grains, as opposed to gold or silver, for example, there can arise supply constraints affecting pricing of the near-month contract in ways that we do not see in the more distant month contracts pricing. Crude oil futures famously traded below zero in April 2020. Yeah, it went negative. As the COVID crash and associated economic shutdown led to a sudden drop in oil consumption. So people actually wanted to pay you to take away the oil because they had no place to store it. They were giving it away. They wanted to pay you to take the oil. And Cushing ended up filled to capacity. So the traders who were long crude oil and who could not find a place to store the oil that they had to take to delivery were suddenly in big trouble. That negative pricing did not extend to other contracts, just the expiring one in April 2020. That is not the condition we see now, as the current near-month contract, February 2025, is priced at 78.77 cents a barrel. But the January 2026 contract is at 69.73 cents a barrel. There is a minor shortage of deliverable oil right now, and thus traders are scrambling to line up supplies they need to feed oil refineries. That makes the price of the near-month contract go up, while these momentary supply issues do not have much impact on farther out contracts. This type of spread is known as backwardation because it is backwards from the normal circumstance of having farther out contracts priced higher. When the condition is in effect, it is referred to as contango. So contango is the reverse of backwardation, where you have near price contracts priced less than the farther out contracts. That's the normal way. If contango ever gets really large, the speculators can make money by purchasing crude oil in a spot market and arranging to store it sometimes while selling distant future contracts for a higher price. They get to profit from that difference in pricing as long as it is big enough to cover the storage costs. At truly wild contango extremes, traders have even rented oil tankers and stored their oil at sea. In the current condition, though, nobody is renting oil storage to sell their oil later, since the price is higher now than for later contracts. The supply squeeze pushes up the near-month price. When that push extends too far, you see an extreme like we have now, where the near-month price is really far from the more distant month's contract prices. These episodes pretty reliably mark at least short-term tops for oil prices because they reveal an extreme which cannot continue itself very long. Whether it turns into a larger price top is not something that this spread alone will tell us. For that, we have to turn to other factors, but this should produce at least a momentary top in oil prices. All right, there you go. That's the lesson for today. Okay, it's about 4 more minutes until 2 hours. I think we covered enough. Tomorrow, I'll see what's happening with the markets. I'll probably just review the trades I did last week, right? I'll show you the videos and prove, like, yes, see, I made that call last week. I made that other call, right? And I already went over it at the start of the stream, but, you know, I'll play my old videos from last week and then show that again. So we have a record of everything. I think John wants that. So we have a nice thing to keep me online, keep me in track. And I think from this year, we're going to have a lot harder trades. It's not going to be easy. No slam dunks here. No birdies or whatever, if you want to use golf terminology. Shit. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be damn tough. I don't know if you guys were in like 2018. I mean, that's when I started trading. Was because of that fact. We are in the same conditions as that moment. Actually, I'll show you this too. EWW Mexico ETF. So this thing went down right to the bottom here of 46.8. 46.8 right here, just before New Year's. So last trading day, December 31st. And I've been trading like Mexico here, so using the MEXX3X ETF. So I've been buying at 9 or just below 9, and now it's like 10 something today. You know, all the bad news with Mexico and all that is kind of like it's got out of the system. It's gotten out of the system. So I'm kind of bullish on Mexico. And actually, I was reading, because the 13F filings for Michael Burry of The Big Short, he's buying a lot of Chinese stocks, you know. And I've been saying, like, Chinese stocks are probably going to be a real good trade this year. So every time there's going to be bad news, you got to load up and then trade it up, you know. And I was looking at Futu, right? That was one I was telling. Yeah, it's been doing nice, huh? Not bad move. So this one, Futu, yeah, that was 20%, not bad. And you got Tiger, TIGR, Up FinTech. Yeah, that's 20% as well. So these two, I'm really, and of course, you know, my favorite one is KC. But it's already done, like, its big move already. Like, I have no clue if it's really gonna pop above 13, because if you look at this, like, yeah, if it really wants to run, I'm just waiting for it to get back to 7. I might get it. I might pick this one up. But yeah, I'll talk more about Chinese stocks some other time. Yeah, same thing with natural gas. These things could be good trades later, but right now, tech stocks in Chinese tech stocks, they're just like it's kind of got messed up, you know. If you just look at the Hong Kong index as a whole, yeah, it's following my little gray pattern here, but the tech sector in China itself, so saying, like, let's look at this. Oops, my bad. Hang Seng Tech. It doesn't look that bad. I don't know. The KWeb ETF looks terrible, though. Holy crap. I don't know what tech company are they holding, but yeah, I don't know. Michael Burry's bought a lot. He might think it's a good trade this year. So he dumped a bunch of American tech companies and started buying Chinese ones. He probably thinks it's a good flip. The other one to talk about was Geo, right? The prison company, private prisons. So yeah, I'm still watching this. See if it's a thing to load up more on. Like it already did this big move during elections, and it's breaking out above 25. So I'm watching that GEO. Watch this one. Yeah, it could be the next Palantir, the next Axon for me. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Axon's still doing okay, but it lost most of its top here, so it's lost its like little gain up here. It's pulled back, so I don't know. I'm not really gonna say you recommend these ones right now either. Bonds, yeah, stuck. They're still stuck. You need this to turn up. So you need the bond market to really help you out right now. And that's going to require Powell talking on Wednesday, 11 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock your time, Eastern. If you're in Eastern, it's 2 o'clock on Wednesday, 2 p.m. He'll start talking 2:30 p.m. 2 p.m. will be the press release for the FOMC. Okay? So remember that. Mark your calendars. We're going to see Powell talk again. And as you remember, when he opened his fat mouth, the stock market listened and it crashed. So all you guys that were greedy enough to hold everything after Trump won, you paid the price because it took you a whole month afterwards to get back up here. Another whole month. So I don't know. You could have traded it. You could have held it. Doesn't matter. You're back up here. You're really lucky you guys got back up here. So if you guys really, I don't know if all the stocks recovered though. Like if you look at Apple, it didn't, right? Apple. If you owned Apple, you're still like, oh, yeah. Tesla's still stuck. Tesla stuck sideways. Google, Amazon sideways. Amazon's kind of been moving up this week, but still mostly sideways. Netflix, it recovered. So yeah, you got a little new high on Netflix. Got that. New subscribers. And Nvidia, sideways. Right? Sideways. See? Sideways. So most of your big fat. Oh, Meta. Let me look at Meta. What's Meta doing? Yeah, mostly sideways. See? Nothing. Did nothing for a month. So now we have to see if we're going to make a new high or not on earnings. Earnings next week, guys. All these big fat tech companies will have earnings except for Nvidia. But everybody else will have it. And Powell. So big money will be traded next week. Get prepared. Tomorrow, I'll probably do a prelude on this. See prepare or see if anything else. But right now with the yen, looks like the dollar yen is dropping, but nothing really significant. I don't see anything really doing anything that would matter. Because if you look at Bitcoin, I don't see anything crazy right now. No, it's still in this range. We're still in the range. Nothing. No pump, no dump. It's trying to pump, but not really breaking out of 108,000. Once it gets above 108,000, then we'll see it at 115, all right? That'll be your next target, and then you can see if you want to sell, if you have any leftovers of MSTX or something like that. Yeah, maybe you'll get lucky and gets to like 70 from here. But otherwise, yeah, I sold most of it right now. So it's like most of it's gone. I'm done with this. I'm just not sure if I want to short. Like 2 days ago, it did a really crazy move like this. Ooh, man. So, yeah, you can try to short these little minor tops, minor quick shorts, quick moves right here. But if you're thinking of a big short, I stay a little cautious because I'm not 100% sure it'll be like, let's say it drops here next week. You know, that might be just the time to buy for the next move up after Powell stocks, right? That could be it. But yeah, you're really relying on what Powell says. So I can't tell you what that's going to be. I don't have no crystal ball. I have no crystal ball. I just try to go for things that make sense to me. Nothing's easy, all right? With trading. Trading is just like you just take your gambles the way you want them to and try to maximize your outcomes. It's like trading from here is a lot harder than trading from down here, which made more sense. If I was up here, if it got up here to 430, yeah, I would short it. Sure. If MSTR got up here, yeah, I would try to short it. I would wait for the moment where I saw something like this and I'd be like, time to short. But I don't see nothing yet that's convincing me to short from here until I get a better signal. I don't have that signal yet. So we'll get to that point. All right, next week. Okay, guys, I'll see ya tomorrow. I don't know if I'm doing it in the morning or not, but I said it tomorrow in the morning just in case like the Bank of Japan did something crazy. They'll talk in about an hour. I think they'll start talking in an hour. So you'll see something move in pre-market pretty soon if you're still awake. Alrighty, guys. Please donate. Oh, yeah. And, you know, I have an email for the... So just go crack. Okay, here. Crack at jghb.info. All right? Use that email. So send me questions. You got questions, I'll answer them. We'll have a mailbag segment or something like that. That's how all these shows do. And we'll go from there. All right, guys. Later.
Feel like I should go. 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 Feel like I should go.